Ethan's starship drifted silently above the surface of the emerald green planet. The sensors showed unusual energy readings, unlike anything the human exploration team had seen before. He had been sent as part of a small diplomatic mission to study new civilizations and, if possible, establish contact. Ethan, young but brave, had always loved adventure, yet nothing in his training had prepared him for what he was about to face. The planet's atmosphere shimmered with faint, golden hues as the sun set behind jagged crystal mountains. Ethan carefully maneuvered the small shuttle to the landing zone, a flat plateau near a dense forest. He stepped out, boots crunching on the strange, glowing soil. The air smelled sweet, with hints of alien flowers. A gentle wind stirred, carrying tiny sparkles of bioluminescent pollen. Ethan scanned the area with his handheld device. The energy readings were strongest near a structure partially hidden by enormous, twisting trees. He approached cautiously. The structure was unlike anything he had seen. A palace garden, floating slightly above the ground with delicate bridges made of light and translucent platforms that hummed faintly with energy. An energy signature like this must be a source of great power, Ethan muttered to himself. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the first platform. It glimmered under his weight as if recognizing him. He smiled, feeling a mix of awe and nervousness. I hope whoever lives here is friendly. From behind a wall of glowing vines, a figure appeared. Ethan froze. The being was tall and elegant, her skin shimmering faintly like polished silver under the twilight. Her eyes glowed a soft violet, intelligent and curious. Her hair floated slightly, not from wind, but from the energy around her. Who are you? She asked in a voice that was musical yet firm. No human has ever entered this garden before. Ethan straightened and bowed slightly, following human diplomatic customs. I am Ethan, from Earth. I mean no harm. I only wish to study your culture and understand your people. The alien woman tilted her head and smiled faintly. You are brave, or perhaps foolish. Very few would step into this place uninvited. I am Princess Liara. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Princess Liara, he said softly. He had read reports of alien royalty before, but meeting one in person was unlike anything he had imagined. I am honored to meet you. Liara's violet eyes studied him carefully. Many call themselves explorers, diplomats, or heroes. Few are all three. Tell me, human, why should I trust you? Ethan paused, thinking carefully. I do not expect immediate trust, he said honestly, but I believe that trust grows from actions, not words. I am willing to prove it if you will allow me. Liara's smile widened slightly, and she motioned for him to follow. Ethan stepped carefully onto another floating platform, amazed at the delicate balance of light and energy that held it aloft. The princess led him deeper into the garden, where flowers of impossible colors and shapes floated in midair. Some released soft chimes when touched by the wind. You have never seen flowers like these on Earth, Liara said, and yet you seem calm, even respectful. Ethan nodded. I have seen many wonders, but respect is something we must carry wherever we go. I know some humans have made mistakes in first contacts, and I wish to avoid that. They walked in, silence for a moment. Then a sudden tremor shook the garden. The platforms wobbled dangerously and a glowing vine swung down, threatening to knock Ethan off balance. He lunged forward instinctively, grabbing Liara's hand and steadying her. You are strong for a human? Liara said, her voice softening. Most would have panicked. Ethan smiled sheepishly. I guess luck was on my side. Or maybe humans are better at balancing than they look. Liara laughed, a sound like wind chimes. Perhaps. Or perhaps you simply act without fear when others would hesitate. Just as Ethan was about to respond, a sudden energy surge pulsed through the garden. Platforms shook violently, and some floating flowers fell toward the ground. Ethan reacted instinctively, grabbing Liara and leaping toward a stable platform. The surge knocked them off balance, and for a moment, it seemed as if they would fall. Ethan's heart raced, but he focused on keeping Liara safe. With a final leap, they landed safely on a broad platform covered in soft, glowing moss. Liara's violet eyes met his, wide with surprise and a hint of admiration. You saved me," she said, her voice slightly breathless. "Humans are unpredictable. I only did what anyone should do," Ethan replied, trying to sound calm. Inside, his heart pounded. He had always thought of himself as brave, but moments like this made him realize how fragile life could be in an alien world. Liara studied him silently, her lips curved in a subtle smile. Few beings act purely from instinct and courage. Most act from self-interest. "You are different, human Ethan." Ethan blinked, surprised that she knew his name. You know my name?" Liara grinned faintly. "I know many things, Ethan. The energy here, it tells me much. And I find it amusing that a human would come here without fear. Perhaps you are curious. Or perhaps you are reckless." "I like to think it's curiosity," Ethan said, smiling. "But maybe a little recklessness too. Curiosity often demands it." Liara's grin widened. She stepped closer, her glowing eyes studying him with intensity. "Tell me, human, do you always act this boldly when you do not fully understand what you face?" Ethan hesitated, thinking carefully. "I act boldly when I care about the outcome, or when someone's safety is involved." The princess tilted her head, clearly intrigued. Admirable. Few creatures are willing to risk themselves for others. Humans, I am told, are often selfish and short-sighted. I hope to prove that not all of us are," Ethan said softly. "And maybe I can show you that humans have qualities worth respecting." Liara laughed again, this time a soft musical sound that seemed to blend with the ambient energy of the garden. "You are entertaining, human Ethan. Most beings here would flee or fight. You saved me, and yet you remain composed, even polite. It is curious." As the evening light faded, the garden glowed brighter. Bioluminescent flowers illuminated hidden pathways, casting soft reflections on the translucent platforms. Ethan followed Liara deeper, both fascinated and cautious. Suddenly, Liara stopped. She pointed toward a small pool of liquid crystal that reflected their faces perfectly. "Step into the pool," she said. "It will show your intent. Do not fear. It is harmless." Ethan stepped forward slowly. The liquid crystal rippled beneath his boots. As he looked into the pool, shimmering images of courage, honesty, and curiosity surrounded his reflection. He realized it was not just a magical display, it was a test of character. Liara watched him closely. "Many come here thinking to impress me with words or gifts. Few show themselves truly through actions and heart." Ethan's gaze met hers, steady and sincere. "I do not know how to impress anyone with magic or skill alone. I can only be honest and do what is right." Liara's eyes glimmered in the reflected light. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she leaned closer, a small grin forming on her lips. "Human Ethan, few have ever made me laugh, few have made me think, and even fewer have surprised me with bravery. Perhaps you are different. Perhaps you are worth noticing." Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. I am honored," he said, softly. "And I hope I can continue to earn your trust." Liara's grin widened. "We shall see, human. For now, I am amused. Most beings do not make me this curious. You are different." As the night deepened, Ethan and Liara remained by the pool, watching the reflections of stars above and the strange energy dancing around them. Neither spoke for a long time, but both felt the beginnings of a connection. It was unusual, unpredictable, and promising. And in that quiet, glowing garden, Princess Liara's mysterious grin hinted at the adventures and misunderstandings that lay ahead. The next morning, Ethan awoke in a guest chamber of the palace, an elegant room that seemed to float above the city below. Light filtered through translucent walls, casting soft colors across the floor. He rubbed his eyes, still amazed that he was actually inside an alien palace. Everything he had seen so far felt surreal, yet the memory of Princess Liara's grin from the previous night lingered in his mind. A soft chime echoed through the room, announcing the arrival of the palace. Attendants. Ethan rose and prepared himself. Today he had been invited to attend a formal gathering at the royal palace, a chance to observe the alien society and interact with its leaders. As he walked down the corridors, he noticed the architecture was unlike anything on Earth. The walls shimmered faintly with energy, responding to movement and presence. Soft, floating platforms carried servants and couriers effortlessly across the wide halls. Ethan's curiosity grew with every step. He arrived at the ceremonial chamber, a vast open space filled with floating lights and delicate ornaments. Aliens of various shapes and sizes moved gracefully, speaking in musical tones that Ethan could only partially understand. He realized that his presence was unusual. Humans were rarely allowed inside. Princess Liara appeared at the center of the room, dressed in ceremonial robes that shimmered like liquid metal. Her hair floated lightly, giving her an ethereal appearance. When her eyes met Ethan's, she smiled, knowingly, as if she already anticipated what he might do next. "Welcome, human Ethan," she said, her voice clear and commanding. "I trust your rest was sufficient?" Ethan bowed slightly. "Yes, Your Highness. Thank you for your hospitality. Everything here is extraordinary." Liara's smile widened. "You find our way strange, I imagine. Yet you are here, and that alone shows your respect and courage." The ceremony began with a series of formal greetings and gestures, each alien demonstrating intricate movements that symbolized honor, respect, and alliance. Ethan tried his best to mimic the motions, but he quickly realized he was out of sync. He bowed too deeply, extended his hand incorrectly, and even accidentally brushed against a glowing energy panel. Liara watched silently, then suppressed a laugh. "Human customs are curious," she said softly. "You move with care, yet your gestures suggest boldness or perhaps daring." Ethan froze. "Daring. I meant no offense, Your Highness. I'm only following what I think is proper." Liara's violet eyes sparkled with amusement. "Perhaps humans express respect in ways we do not expect. Some gestures you make resemble our symbolic acts of courtship." Ethan blinked, confusion written across his face. "Courtship?" he repeated. I am here as a guest and explorer. Nothing more." Liara grinned, her gaze teasing. "Curious. Most humans are cautious. You stumble into our ceremonies, act without full knowledge, and yet somehow impress me. Tell me, Ethan, did you intend this gesture?" Ethan's mind raced. He realized that one of his accidental movements, a hand extended too far, a bow too deep, had been interpreted as a symbolic proposal according to alien tradition. His face flushed. I assure you, Your Highness, it was not intentional. I would never—" Liara's grin widened. "It seems the human mind works in mysterious ways. Perhaps this is your way of proposing to me?" Ethan froze, unsure whether to laugh or panic. "No, absolutely not. I did not mean that." Liara laughed, a soft musical sound that echoed through the chamber. "Relax, human. I am not offended. In fact, it is amusing. Most beings approach me with careful words and polished gestures. You stumble, act honestly, and somehow make me curious. That is rare." Despite his embarrassment, Ethan felt a flicker of pride. If his accidental actions had amused the princess, perhaps she saw a spark of honesty in him that few others had. The ceremony continued, and Ethan tried to follow the customs more carefully. Yet, every time he thought he had performed a gesture correctly, he noticed Liara's amused expression. She clearly enjoyed observing his efforts and occasional mistakes. After the formal introductions, Liara guided Ethan to a quiet balcony overlooking the alien city. The skyline was breathtaking, with floating spires, radiant energy channels, and ships gliding silently in the distance. "You humans are strange," Liara said, leaning on the railing. "You come with curiosity, bravery, and clumsy manners. Most would find my world intimidating. You seem intrigued instead." Ethan smiled. "Perhaps because I see wonder in the unknown. I have spent my life exploring the stars. Every new culture, every new world. It is a chance to learn, to understand, and to connect." Liara's eyes softened slightly. "Few humans speak with such thoughtfulness. Many rush, consume, or conquer. You do not. That is why I am watching you closely." They stood in silence for a while, observing the city below. Then a small commotion caught their attention. Some palace officials were whispering urgently, pointing toward the balcony. Ethan realized they were discussing him, likely curious or suspicious about his presence. "You will find some here wary of you," Liara said. "Not because they dislike humans, but because they are cautious. You have entered our world, made mistakes, yet still gained my attention. That is unusual." Ethan nodded. "I understand. I only wish to learn and show respect. I mean no harm." Liara's grin returned, wider this time. "Perhaps that is why I am entertained by you. You are unpredictable, honest, and bold. Most humans are not so straightforward." Ethan chuckled nervously. "I'm not sure I can live up to that praise, Your Highness." "You do not need to live up to it," Liara said, her voice soft but firm. "Simply continue being yourself. That is enough for now." The day passed with more interactions, including lessons on alien etiquette, introductions to scholars and diplomats, and explanations of strange technologies that Ethan could barely comprehend. Every time he tried to follow the customs perfectly, he accidentally did something that amused Liara. And every time she laughed softly, a sound that Ethan found increasingly comforting. By evening, Ethan had grown tired, but also more confident. He had learned that the princess appreciated honesty and courage more than flawless performance. As he walked with Liara through the palace gardens, he noticed the bioluminescent flowers from the previous night glowing again. "You humans have a different way of expressing yourself," Liara said. "Sometimes clumsy, sometimes bold. But always genuine. That is rare." Ethan smiled. "I hope my actions do not cause trouble. I only wish to understand your people and your world." Liara stopped and looked at him intently. "You are honest. You are brave. And you make me laugh. That is enough for now. But remember, human, there is more to our customs than appearances. You may have stumbled into something serious without realizing it." Ethan frowned slightly. "Something serious?" Liara's grin returned, mischievous and teasing. "Yes, some gestures are symbolic of commitment. You may have accidentally performed one today. Was it intentional? That is what I wonder." Ethan's face turned red again. "Absolutely not. I meant nothing like that." Liara laughed, a melodic sound that filled the garden. "Relax. Human. I am not upset. In fact, I find your flustered honesty delightful. Perhaps that is why I'm curious about you. Perhaps that is why I am watching you closely." They walked further into the gardens, where small pools of shimmering water reflected the twin moons rising in the alien sky. Ethan realized that, despite the misunderstanding, a strange bond was forming between them, one built on trust, courage, and a growing sense of curiosity. Liara stopped near one of the pools. "Do you understand what you did, human?" she asked softly. "I think I do," Ethan said cautiously, "but I assure you it was an accident. I did not mean any offense." Liara smiled gently, placing a glowing hand on a floating flower. "I know, Ethan, that is why I am not angry. Instead, I am entertained. Most beings here would approach me with caution, calculated words, or gifts. You simply act. That is rare. That is why I am watching you." Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of relief and excitement. Then I will continue to act as I always do, honestly and with respect. Liara grinned once more, her violet eyes sparkling. Good. That is all I ask, for now. But remember, human, our journey has only begun. Curiosity, courage, and honesty will serve you well. Missteps may amuse me, but they may also lead to unexpected consequences. Ethan looked at her, both nervous and fascinated. He had no idea what unexpected consequences meant, but he trusted the princess enough to face them. And so, the day ended with laughter, lessons, and the beginnings of an unusual connection. One that would shape not only Ethan's understanding of alien cultures, but also the future of human and alien relations. The next morning, Ethan woke early, the alien sun painting the palace walls with soft gold and green hues. He felt both excited and nervous. Today, Princess Liara had said he would accompany her on a journey across the palace grounds and into the nearby crystal forest. She had mentioned that this was a kind of trial, a way to understand one another better. Ethan had no idea what to expect. Liara met him in the palace courtyard, her robes flowing as she moved gracefully across the floating platforms. Her violet eyes gleamed with curiosity. "Are you ready, human Ethan?" she asked, her grin playful but serious. Ethan straightened his posture. "Yes, Your Highness, I will do my best." Liara's lips curved into a small smile. "Good. The trials are not meant to harm you, but to test courage, intelligence, and character. They will reveal how you think, act, and, most importantly, whether you are true to yourself." Ethan nodded. "I understand. I will be honest and careful." Without another word, Liara led him toward the palace gates. Beyond them stretched the crystal forest, a place of towering crystals that reflected light in every direction, creating a dizzying maze of colors. The ground was uneven, with glowing fissures and shifting platforms. Energy hummed faintly in the air, causing small gusts of wind that lifted hair and robes. "This forest has been used for centuries to test our visitors," Liara explained. "It is beautiful, but it can be dangerous if you are careless. Watch your step, observe carefully, and trust your instincts." Ethan took a deep breath. "I will. Thank you for guiding me." The first challenge came almost immediately. A series of floating crystal platforms led across a deep chasm. Some platforms were stable, others tilted or shifted when stepped upon. Ethan studied the patterns, trying to guess which platforms were safe. "Use your senses, human," Liara said calmly, "and do not rush. Patience is as important as courage." Ethan carefully tested each platform with his weight, listening to subtle vibrations. One platform wobbled dangerously as he stepped on it. He grabbed Liara's hand instinctively to steady himself. "You trust me," she said softly, a hint of surprise in her voice. "Few beings act so quickly and without fear for others. That is impressive." Ethan smiled. "I believe trust must be mutual. If I care about your safety, I must act, even if it is risky." Liara studied him as they crossed the chasm together. "Humans are unpredictable, yet sometimes that unpredictability is useful. You may surprise us in ways few others can." Once they reached the other side, a new challenge awaited, a series of crystalline walls that formed a maze. Energy pulses flowed through the walls, and stepping in the wrong place triggered harmless but startling bursts of light and sound. Ethan had to navigate carefully. Liara walked beside him, observing silently. "This trial tests intelligence and observation. You must read the patterns and move accordingly. Do not let fear guide your choices." Ethan concentrated, studying the pulses and patterns. He noticed a rhythm, a faint, repeating sequence in the energy. Following it, he guided Liara through the maze without triggering a single burst. "Impressive," Liara said, her smile genuine. "Few beings notice the pattern so quickly. You have insight and patience. Both are rare qualities." Ethan's chest swelled with quiet pride. He realized that his human perspective, analyzing patterns, using instinct and trusting observation, gave him an advantage in ways even Liara's people sometimes overlooked. Their next challenge took them deeper into the forest, where crystals towered like alien skyscrapers. A narrow path led along a glowing cliffside, with deep drops on either side. Wind gusted unpredictably, and small floating rocks threatened to knock them off balance. Liara stopped. This test examines courage and composure. The path is narrow, but it can be crossed safely if you remain calm. Do not let fear control you. Ethan stepped carefully, focusing on each movement. At one point, a gust of wind nearly knocked him sideways. He instinctively shifted, catching Liara's arm to steady her as well. "You saved me again," Liara said, her voice softer this time. "Few beings act without self-preservation first. You are unusual, human." Ethan smiled wryly. "Perhaps humans are more helpful than you expect." Liara laughed lightly. "Perhaps. But this is not only about bravery. There is more to being tested than strength and courage. Your mind and heart are equally important." After crossing the cliffside, they entered a large clearing where the final trial awaited. A crystal puzzle that seemed to float above the ground. Transparent panels displayed shifting images, requiring logic and teamwork to align them correctly. "This is a test of intellect and cooperation," Liara said. "You must work with me to solve it. Alone, it cannot be done." Ethan studied the puzzle carefully. Each panel reflected light in a specific pattern, and moving one panel affected others. He realized that they had to anticipate the consequences of each move, adjusting their strategy with patience. Working together, Ethan and Liara experimented, moving panels slowly and communicating clearly. At first, their actions were clumsy. Some panels collided, creating bright flashes that startled them both. But as they adjusted, the images began to align, forming a harmonious pattern of glowing constellations. "Well done," Liara said, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "Few visitors solve this puzzle on the first attempt. You have both patience and intelligence, and most importantly, you work well with others." Ethan smiled. "It is easier when you guide me. I trust your instincts, Your Highness." Liara's grin widened. "And I am impressed by yours. Humans often act without thought, yet you combine courage, observation, and careful reasoning. You are different." As the puzzle completed, a soft glow enveloped the clearing. The energy from the crystals formed a protective dome around them, bathing them in radiant light. Ethan felt exhilarated. He had faced the trials, navigated danger, and worked alongside the princess. Liara stepped closer, her expression thoughtful. "You have proven much today, human. Courage, intelligence, patience, and loyalty. Few beings demonstrate all these qualities in one day." Ethan looked at her, heart pounding. I only did what I thought was right. I want to earn your trust, Your Highness." Liara's eyes softened, and she placed a hand near his shoulder, a gesture of acknowledgement and connection. "You have earned more than trust, Ethan. You have earned my respect and my curiosity. You are unpredictable, honest, and brave. That combination is rare among any species." For a moment they stood silently, the glow of the crystals reflecting in their eyes. Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest, a sense of connection he had never experienced before. He realized that this bond, built on trials, courage, and honesty, was the start of something extraordinary. Liara broke the silence with a playful grin. "You humans are strange. You act boldly, yet you are careful. You stumble, yet you succeed. And somehow, you amuse me." Ethan chuckled nervously. "I suppose that is one way to describe it. I only hope I continue to meet your expectations." Liara tilted her head, studying him. "Do not worry about expectations, human. Be yourself. That is enough, and perhaps more than enough." As they made their way back to the palace, the twin moons rose above the horizon, casting silver and violet light across the forest. Ethan felt both exhausted and exhilarated. He had faced tests that challenged his body, mind, and spirit, and had survived them with courage and honesty. Liara walked beside him, her hand occasionally brushing his in a way that felt natural, yet deliberate. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "you will face more challenges, political ones, not physical trials, but tests of wisdom, loyalty, and diplomacy. Be ready, human Ethan. The world you step into is full of surprises." Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of anticipation and determination. "I will do my best, Your Highness. I am ready for whatever comes next." Liara's violet eyes gleamed with amusement and approval. "Good. You have shown promise today. Few humans could have walked this path and survived, not only in body, but in character. You are remarkable." As they returned to the palace, Ethan realized that he was no longer just an observer of alien culture. He was becoming a part of it, and more importantly, forming a bond with someone extraordinary, someone whose trust and respect he had earned through courage, honesty, and determination. And for the first time, Ethan understood that this was only the beginning. The trials had revealed his abilities, but also the potential for something far greater, a connection between human and alien, built on understanding, bravery, and mutual respect. Princess Liara's playful grin, still fresh in his mind, reminded him that the path ahead would be full of surprises, misunderstandings, and adventures, unlike anything he had imagined. The morning sun spread across the palace, casting long, glowing shadows across the floating platforms and crystalline towers. Ethan awoke feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. Yesterday's trials had tested his courage and intelligence, and he had passed. Today, however, Princess Liara had said he would face a different kind of test, one that involved politics, diplomacy, and trust. He dressed carefully in the ceremonial uniform provided by the palace, simple, elegant, and imbued with energy that adjusted to the wearer's movements. When he stepped into the hall, Liara was already waiting, her violet eyes sharp and watchful. "You are ready, I assume," she said, her tone both serious and playful. "I am," Ethan replied, standing tall. "I will do my best, Your Highness." Liara's grin returned, subtle yet mischievous. "Good. Today you will see that courage and intelligence alone are not always enough. The mind of the court can be as dangerous as any battlefield." They walked through the palace corridors toward the royal council chambers. Outside, advisors and nobles of the planet were gathering. Their expressions ranged from curiosity to subtle suspicion. Ethan felt their eyes on him, some narrowing as he passed. Liara spoke softly as they entered the council chamber. "These are my advisors and noble counselors. Some are cautious about you, others are openly skeptical. Observe, listen, and be honest. That is your strength." Ethan nodded. "I understand." The council meeting began formally. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing star maps, planetary resources, and energy flows. Each counselor presented concerns about the kingdom, its borders, and potential alliances. Ethan listened carefully, aware that even a single misstep in tone or gesture could be misinterpreted. One counselor, a tall being with silver-scaled skin named Velkar, spoke sharply. "Princess Liara, why do we allow a human into our court? His presence is untested. His species is unpredictable. Are we to risk our kingdom for curiosity?" Ethan swallowed but remained composed. "I assure you, I mean no harm," he said respectfully. "My mission is to observe, learn, and help foster understanding between our peoples. I have no interest in causing conflict or gaining advantage for myself." Velkar's eyes narrowed. "Words are easy. Actions reveal truth. Can we trust him, Your Highness?" Liara stepped forward, her expression firm. "You may distrust him, Velkar, but I will vouch for him. He has completed the trials, shown courage, intelligence, and loyalty. He has earned my respect and trust." Some counselors murmured, clearly surprised by Liara's bold defense. Velkar bristled, But Liara's voice remained steady. "Trust is not given lightly," she continued. "But I see in him honesty that few others demonstrate. You may watch him, test him, but I will not allow fear to blind us to the value he brings." Ethan felt a wave of gratitude but also tension. He realized that despite passing the physical and intellectual trials, he now faced a test of diplomacy and character in front of the entire court. Velkar smirked. "Then let us test his loyalty. Ethan, tell us, if you were confronted with a situation where your actions could harm our kingdom, what would you do?" Ethan met the counselor's gaze steadily. "I would act in the best interest of all, not for personal gain. My loyalty is to what is right, not to power or advantage. I would not endanger your people intentionally." A younger counselor, Nira, spoke next, her voice calm but inquisitive. "Words are reassuring, human, but how would you act if the choice were difficult, where right and wrong are not clear?" Ethan thought carefully. "Then I would act with honesty and transparency. I would seek counsel, consider consequences, and choose the path that causes the least harm. I would never act selfishly or without thought." The council fell silent for a moment. Liara's gaze softened slightly. "He is honest, his mind is clear, and his heart. Well, that is evident. Yet I understand your caution. Trust must be earned." Velkar's expression hardened. "Perhaps, but words alone do not satisfy me. He must prove it through action." Just then, an urgent alert echoed through the chamber. Holographic displays showed energy fluctuations at a nearby outpost. It appeared that a small faction was attempting to disrupt the planet's energy grid, a possible sabotage. Liara turned to Ethan. "This is your opportunity to demonstrate loyalty and action, human. Will you assist in resolving this threat?" Ethan nodded immediately. "Yes, Your Highness, I will do everything I can." They quickly moved to a nearby starship dock. Ethan followed Liara onto a sleek energy vessel designed for swift response. She piloted with grace, while Ethan studied the controls and communicated with the outpost via the ship's interface. The energy disturbance was complex. Some systems were deliberately tampered with, but Ethan's understanding of human technology and logic allowed him to quickly identify the weak points. He directed the alien crew to stabilize the energy flow and repair the sabotage. Liara observed him closely, her expression a mixture of admiration and focus. "You adapt quickly, Ethan. That is unremarkable." After tense moments, the energy grid stabilized. The sabotage was thwarted without harm to the outpost or its inhabitants. The council, watching remotely, erupted in murmurs of surprise and approval. Velkar's eyes widened. Impressive. The human acted decisively and effectively. Perhaps Liara's judgment was correct. Liara's grin returned, playful and victorious. "Indeed. Actions reveal truth, Velkar. Today, Ethan has proven his loyalty, courage, and ingenuity. That is more than most beings could achieve." Ethan felt a rush of relief and pride. He had not only passed the trials but also demonstrated his value in a real-world crisis. And yet he realized that his bond with Liara had grown stronger because she had trusted him and allowed him to act. As they returned to the palace, Liara spoke softly. "Today you have shown more than courage or intelligence. You have shown heart. That is rare, human Ethan. Few beings earn my full attention, and you have done so." Ethan smiled humbly. "I only acted as I thought was right. I am grateful for your trust, Your Highness." Liara's eyes sparkled with amusement. "And that, human, is why I continue to watch you. You are honest, brave, and unpredictable. Most importantly, you do not seek favor, only understanding. That is rare indeed." Later that evening, as the palace settled into quiet, Liara led Ethan to a terrace overlooking the city. The twin moons bathed the crystalline towers in silver light. The city below was alive with gentle energy and soft hums from floating vehicles and buildings. "You humans are strange," Liara said softly. "You act boldly, yet carefully. You stumble, yet succeed. And somehow, you amuse me." Ethan chuckled. I suppose I have a talent for unintended entertainment. Liara laughed lightly. Perhaps. But do not underestimate the power of honesty and courage. Today you showed that even in the midst of politics, those qualities shine. You earned respect, not by words, but by action. Ethan looked at her, admiration and curiosity filling his chest. I hope I can continue to meet your expectations, Princess Liara. She tilted her head, her grin teasing yet serious. Expectations are not what I require. I ask only that you remain true to yourself. That, human, is more than enough. And perhaps that is why I'm amused by you. Ethan felt warmth spread through him. He realized that the trials and political tests had done more than prove his skills. They had deepened his bond with Liara. Trust, respect, and understanding were forming between them, stronger than he could have imagined. As the night deepened, Ethan stood beside Liara, watching the city glow under the alien moons. He knew challenges lay ahead, more trials, cultural misunderstandings, and political intrigues, but he felt ready. With honesty, courage, and a willingness to learn, he could face whatever came next. Liara's playful grin, still fresh in his mind, reminded him that their journey together was far from over. Unpredictable, exciting, and full of lessons, it promised not only adventure but also a connection that transcended worlds. And for the first time, Ethan realized that this connection, built on bravery, intelligence, and trust, was the beginning of something extraordinary. The morning light spread across the palace, golden and soft. Ethan stood on the balcony overlooking the alien city, taking a deep breath. Today felt different. Yesterday's political challenges had tested his loyalty and courage, and he had succeeded. But now he wanted to take a step beyond trials, beyond diplomacy. He wanted to express something sincere, something personal. Princess Liara appeared beside him, her violet eyes sparkling in the sunlight. She wore ceremonial robes that shimmered like liquid silver, her hair floating lightly in the gentle wind. You seem contemplative, human Ethan, she said softly. Ethan turned, trying to appear calm, though his heart pounded. I am thinking, he admitted, about everything we have experienced, the trials, the challenges, and the connection we have formed. Liara tilted her head, her curious grin returning. Ah, connection. Humans are strange creatures. You think deeply, yet act boldly. What is it you wish to express? Ethan swallowed, collecting his courage. I want to show you my respect, my trust, and my admiration. Not as a visitor, not as a diplomat, but as someone who values you deeply. Liara's violet eyes widened slightly, though her playful grin remained. Ah, bold words. But words are only part of the expression. Actions speak louder. Ethan nodded. Then I will act, Your Highness. I want to honor your culture while showing my feelings in a way that respects your people. Liara's eyes sparkled with intrigue. I am curious, human. Show me your way. Ethan led her to a small terrace overlooking the twin moons, where the floating gardens of the palace glimmered below. He placed a small, intricately carved crystal on the ground. It was a symbol of unity on her planet, representing trust, courage, and partnership. In your culture, Ethan said carefully, this crystal is a symbol of commitment. I cannot perform your traditions perfectly, but I can offer this symbol to show my intentions. I wish to stand beside you, not as a ruler or subject, but as a partner, someone who supports and respects you, your people, and your world. Liara stared at the crystal, her violet eyes reflecting the twin moons. Then she looked at Ethan, her grin spreading into a full, bright smile. So, this is your way of proposing to me? Ethan's face turned red. I suppose it is. But not in the way humans often do. It is not just words. It is a promise. To honor, respect, and protect. Liara laughed softly, a sound like wind chimes in the evening. You humans are strange, unpredictable, and fascinating. Most would never think to offer a gesture that respects both species. You surprise me. Ethan stepped closer, his voice steady. Liara, I do not expect an answer now. I only wish to express what I feel and show that I am sincere. Whatever you decide, I will respect it. The princess studied him quietly, her eyes filled with curiosity and warmth. For a long moment, she said nothing, letting the calm night envelop them. Then she bent down, touched the crystal lightly, and looked up at him. You are bold, human Ethan, and you have been honest in every word, every action. That is rare among any species. Few beings have ever earned my full attention. You have done so. Ethan felt his heart swell. I am honored, Princess Liara, more than I can say. Liara stepped closer, her grin playful, yet sincere. Very well, human. If this is your way of proposing, I accept it. Not because of tradition, but because of courage, honesty, and the bond we share. Few beings ever surprise me as you have. Ethan's face lit up with a mixture of relief, joy, and disbelief. Thank you, Liara. I promise to honor this bond, respect your people, and stand beside you in whatever comes. Liara's eyes softened. And I promise to do the same. Our worlds are different, yet today we create something new. Trust, respect, and partnership. That is worth more than any tradition. The palace below began to glow as the twin moons climbed higher, casting silver and violet light over the floating gardens. The city's inhabitants paused in their daily routines, sensing the significance of the moment. Ethan and Liara stood, together a human and an alien united not only by feelings but by mutual respect and understanding. Later, in the Grand Council chamber, Liara presented Ethan to the council in a new light. Today, she said, her voice strong and clear, human Ethan has shown courage, intelligence, honesty, and respect. He is not only a visitor, he is a partner. Together, we create a bond between our worlds, built on trust and shared values. The counselors murmured, some in surprise, some in admiration. Velkar, who had once doubted Ethan, nodded slowly, a hint of respect in his eyes. It seems I underestimated him, he admitted. Yes, Liara said, her violet eyes meeting Ethan's. And you will see, Velkar, that honesty and courage matter more than words or power alone. Ethan felt a sense of pride and fulfillment. He had not only survived trials and political tension, but had also formed a genuine bond with Liara. He realized that their connection was more than friendship. It was the beginning of a partnership that could unite human and alien cultures. In the days that followed, Ethan continued to learn about Liara's world. He studied their technologies, customs, and philosophies, sharing human knowledge in return. Together they designed plans for cooperation between Earth and her planet, focusing on mutual understanding, exploration, and peaceful alliances. Every evening, they would walk through the palace gardens observing the glowing flowers and floating pools. They spoke of dreams, hopes, and the possibilities of the future. Ethan marveled at Liara's intelligence, curiosity, and playfulness. She, in turn, admired his courage, honesty, and willingness to learn. One evening, as the twin moons reflected, in the crystal pools, Liara looked at Ethan and grinned. You know, human, you continue to surprise me. Your way of proposing, unconventional yet sincere, has made me reconsider many things. Perhaps we humans and aliens are not so different, after all. Ethan smiled, feeling warmth spread through him. I have learned so much from you, Liara, and I hope we can continue to learn from one another, building a bond that grows stronger every day. Liara nodded. We shall. Together, we will explore, understand, and protect our worlds. And perhaps, one day, others will see that courage, honesty, and partnership are the keys to trust between species. As the days turned into weeks, Ethan and Liara's bond became known throughout the palace and city. Humans were no longer strangers. They were respected allies. The princess's trust in Ethan encouraged others to accept him and, more importantly, to consider a future of cooperation between their species. The trials, the misunderstandings, the political tensions, they had all led to this moment. Ethan had proven his courage, intelligence, and loyalty, and Liara had shown wisdom, openness, and trust. Together they created a new path for human-alien relations, one built on respect, honesty, and partnership. On the night of their final reflection, standing on the palace terrace beneath the twin moons, Ethan looked at Liara with admiration. "Thank you, Liara, for trusting me, guiding me, and believing in our bond." Liara's violet eyes softened, her playful grin returning. "And thank you, Ethan, for being brave, honest, and human. You have shown me that our worlds can come together not by force or fear, but by courage, respect, and understanding." Ethan smiled. "Then let us continue this journey together, not as human and alien, not as diplomat and princess, but as partners, explorers of worlds, allies of cultures, and friends who trust one another." Liara extended her hand. Ethan took it firmly, feeling a surge of connection and promise. "Agreed," she said softly. "Together we will face whatever comes, and together we will build a future where trust and courage unite our worlds." And so, under the light of twin moons and the shimmering palace gardens, human and alien stood side by side. Their bond, born of trials, trust, and courage, would grow, shaping the future of their worlds and proving that honesty, bravery, and partnership could bridge even the greatest distances between species. For Ethan and Liara, the journey was only beginning. Adventure, discovery, and a shared future awaited them, full of possibilities and wonder, and above all they had each other, two beings from different worlds, united by respect, trust, and the promise of a remarkable friendship. And perhaps more.